Okay, I believe I've done that, and you all should have received a notifier. So we'll go ahead and officially get started. Good evening, everyone, and welcome to tonight's session. This is Unlocking Engagement, Tools and Tactics That Work. It's the third and final session in the 2025 ASDA Chapter Leadership Academy. I'm Kylie Weller. I'm ASDA's Senior Manager of Chapter Engagement, and I'll be helping moderate tonight's session along with our speaker, Dr. Shafa Nathani. And before we get started, I'm going to give the floor over to our current National ASDA President, Payal Patel, who's going to share about a few current initiatives with the group. Take it away, Payal.
Thank you so much, Kylie. Hi, everyone. I hope you're doing really well. I just wanted to kind of highlight some initiatives that are going on the national level. I know you guys get so many emails, so I just kind of wanted to break down a few things that are coming up this upcoming month and then things to look forward to as well. So something exciting this year that we're doing is EC drop-in hours. And so as of September, myself and Bree have hours available for any member to join if they have any questions, concerns, if they want to bring up any new initiatives. It's a great way for us to kind of see what you guys are doing, but also if you have anything you want to, any help with, anything on the chapter level, on the district level, or if you want to see where you see yourself fitting in this upcoming year for ASDA for yourself, kind of just a great way to kind of connect with anyone. So like I said, this month, myself and Bree have hours, but I know starting next month, Tyler and Darius will also have hours. So we're really excited about that. I believe the link was sent to you guys on the 16th, so it should be in one of the emails, but if not, I know you'll receive it again in the following weeks as well. A few other things, like Kylie has said, it is Wellness Month. September is Wellness Month, so don't forget to share on Instagram all of what your chapter's doing and what your district's doing. And then the biggest thing is grants are due October 1st. So if you don't know, wellness, membership, Fever Week, advocacy, and a few other ones. There's some grants that are due. You can apply for those, and those applications will be due by October 1st. So if your chapter hasn't already, take a look at that. We do reward a few chapters for each of those grants. And then this new thing that we're doing this year is the ASDA Fever Week recognition. And so it is a challenge this year. So you can kind of create a video competition. So it is going to be a video that you're going to send in for your chapter. And it is a chapter will be able to win about $500 for the video competition. So definitely submit that. That is also due October 1st. So you have a couple more weeks to kind of get something submitted if you haven't already. And then two new things. Gold Crown webinar is also coming up. Gold Crown webinar will be on October 21st. And I know Kylie will probably go over it eventually sometime soon for you guys to also look through. But I know Gold Crown Award is very big for a lot of chapters. And so be on the lookout for that. Other than that, there are quite a few new initiatives on our website, like the for the student loans, the things that are going on for advocacy, even new ASDA action campaigns. So take a look at the website if you haven't already. I know that was a lot of information, but you will get emails throughout, and I know sometimes it's tough to miss. So, or it's hard, it's really easy to miss actually. And so if you need a reminder, I'll just be here. And like I said, we have those hours and things like that. So if you have questions or concerns, definitely bring it up. And we are excited for you all to participate. So thank you guys again.
Thanks so much, Payal. We appreciate you being here and talking with the group. So now as we transition back into tonight's session, I want to remind us quickly of the learning objectives. And this session is designed to help you walk away with some ways to strengthen your board to increase engagement, understand some common team dysfunctions and how to overcome those challenges and how that impacts engagement, and then understand tools and tactics for building engagement, including understanding what your members want, communication, participation, and recognition and rewards. So we hope you'll plan to schedule a meeting with your boards after this session to share the information that you're learning tonight, including those key highlights for your chapter to discuss. And consider how this information you're hearing tonight threads its way through both the presentation and through what you're doing locally at your chapters. If you have questions throughout the presentation, please type them in the chat. We'll have some time to answer them at the end. So now let me formally introduce our speaker, Dr. Shafa Nathani. Dr. Nathani received her bachelor's degree in cell and molecular biology with a minor in public health from the University of South Florida. She continued her education at the same institution, earning a Master of Science degree with a concentration in anatomy. Dr. Nathani then pursued her DMD at Tufts University School of Dental Medicine in Boston, Massachusetts. And throughout her dental education, she held multiple leadership positions, and the most distinguished being her service as the 2023-2024 National President for ASDA. In her role, she represented all of you and over 20,000 dental students nationwide, collaborated with dental organizations and policy leaders, and worked to advance the future of dentistry through advocacy, education, and leadership development. She graduated in May of 2024, recognized for her clinical excellence and deep understanding of organized dentistry. In addition to her practice, Dr. Nasani has served on the MedPro Advisory Board since 2024, where she and her fellow board members review claims, evaluate emerging risks, and provide insight into the evolving landscape of dentistry. Today, she practices as a general dentist at an Ideal Dental office in Dallas, Texas. She is committed to creating a welcoming environment for her patients, empowering them through education, and giving back to the community through outreach and service. So without further ado, I will turn it over to Shafa to lead us through tonight's presentation. It's all yours.
Thank you so much, Kylie, for that warm introduction. I so appreciate it. I'm going to go ahead and share my screen, and then we can go ahead and get started. Okay, let me move this so it's correct.
It looks great.
Awesome. All right, everyone. So my name is Shafa. It is so nice to see all of these names on the screen. I'm so excited that you guys all decided to spend your evenings to learn a little bit about how we can up the engagement, not only in our board, but also in our chapters, in our districts, and then on a national level as well. So I'm really excited to get into all of that with you. Kind of like how Kylie shared, I had the privilege to serve as the national president in 2023 to 2024. And I graduated from Tufts in 2024, and now I'm practicing in Dallas, Texas. So it's been quite the journey. And I will say that being a part of ASDA during my dental school journey, it truly was the highlight of my experience. It brought me my closest friends. It shaped me into the doctor that I am today, and even the person that I am today. So the tools that you'll be gaining, it's not only something that you're really going to use at your level here in ASDA and whatever position that you're in, but honestly, the teamwork that you build during your time in ASDA, it really does translate with the team that you build in your practices or while you're in residency and in a lot of different other spaces. So kudos to all of you for showing up tonight to better whatever chapter or district that you're in. And then hopefully this is something that you can take on with you in the various different journeys of your life. So with that, we'll go ahead and we'll get started. Okay, so today, just kind of a brief agenda of what we'll be talking about. We'll just start with some background information just on engagement, some core topics of what essentially can hold people back from strong engagement and good team building, and then some tools for all of you to take back to your teams so that way we can continue the engagement to go up and keep that momentum going. So we'll first kind of dive into your board engagement and some common dysfunctions that can break apart the board. Essentially, the board really is the backbone of how your chapter or your district does, right? You want to make sure that your leadership team is incredibly strong and united and on the same page. And so that's really where engagement starts. So it really is a ripple effect because when you're in a position of leadership, the source of inspiration, that excitement, that ASDA fever, it really is ignited from the board down to your members. You kind of have to think about it like electricity, right? Like if the board isn't charged up, then like the rest of the membership, it's just not going to light up. It won't be the same. So really creating that strong foundation for your board is a great place to start. And for me personally, when I was on the Tufts chapter, I actually served as the wellness member. That's how my ASDA journey started, as I joined on the wellness committee. And funny enough, of course, that it's Wellness Month right now. So that's awesome. But truly, I think the reason why Tufts as a chapter had such a successful year and many years that I had the opportunity to be a part of it was because the board really spent time together to build that personal relationship with one another through a board retreat. So I really recommend to all of you in whatever capacity, whether it's at your chapter level or your district level, and we'll kind of dive into that a little bit deeper in future slides, but spending that quality time together as a team to really decide what it is that you hope to accomplish in the year ahead. that's what's really going to allow for you to be prepared to have that membership engagement and to get that excitement going. So, pro tip, I highly recommend. It doesn't have to be anything fancy. It doesn't need to be a weekend getaway at an Airbnb, although that sounds really fun. But even just spending time in one of the rooms at your dental school or at someone's apartment and really building that bonding opportunity, that's where it starts. Like, that's the spark of electricity that we're looking for. So, a really pivotal moment in my presidential year was really early on when Nancy, our executive director, handed me a book, and it was The Five Dysfunctions of a Team. And she told me to read it. She told the entire executive board to read it. And I didn't realize how impactful that book would be. So, another tip I have for all of you, if you truly are just curious of just the dysfunctions that are commonly found in teams and how to negate them and how to kind of grow away from them, I highly recommend the read. It's great, and it's very easy to find on Amazon or whatever book source you choose to go to. But the most common ones are the ones that you see on your screen, right? So there's lack of trust. Most of the time when a board is coming together, it could be the very first time you're meeting most of those people, right? So you don't really know who they are. You don't really feel safe, to be entirely honest. Another one is also fear of conflict, right? I don't know about you guys, but I am not very confrontational. So it's really tough. These tough conversations, you just kind of think, I'm just going to hold back. But what you don't realize is that it does have kind of that domino effect, right? So it essentially is, if you don't have those tough conversations within your team, then you as a chapter, as the district, you won't be able to grow nearly as much, right? So kind of how to handle that conflict is shared in the book. And then another one is lack of commitment. And this is something that I saw a lot when it was early on in either my term as a trustee or my term as president, is that executive decisions are being made, but we're not having the whole team on board. That initial buy-in really is important for the success of that project or that event that you're putting all this energy behind. And then the next one is avoidance of accountability, right? We have all these exciting, big dreams and hopes for the year ahead. And I know that as a dental student, we're already so stressed out with our commitments in school and our personal commitments and just our lives that are outside of ASDA, that all those goals that we had hoped for, sometimes the ball gets dropped along the way. And then when we kind of realize it, it's hard for someone to step up and say, actually, it was me. So kind of how do we create those guidelines to make sure that that doesn't happen? And then, of course, the last is inattention to the results, right? It's common where I personally am extremely passionate about wellness, but maybe my counterpart or someone else on the board isn't so much passionate about it, right? So, how do we get people to let go of their personal agendas, but come together to really value what the chapter's mission is, right? So, how do we make sure that the events that we're holding, it's not just for a personal interest that we have, but something that that the D1 class is really going to benefit, or the D4 class that's about to leave is really going to benefit. So kind of keeping these things in mind is what we'll be discussing throughout the presentation tonight. But just remember that even the best teams, we fall into these dysfunctions, and that's not even the issue. The issue really is being able to recognize it and then addressing it head on. That way we continue to have that really strong engagement throughout the year and we keep the momentum going. So just a couple of solutions, right? So this is pretty broad. These are my takeaways from the book that I read, but we're going to get kind of into the nitty-gritty details of just tangible things that I learned in my term as trustee or as president, and even as wellness member. So like we talked about, it's if we have a lack of trust, right, then how do we build that trust? It's through some vulnerability, quality time, whether it's during your monthly meetings as a board on the chapter level or the district level, or having that retreat that we discussed, right? Or normalizing healthy conflict and having that conversation that's difficult, but because you have a personal relationship, it's a lot easier to address. And then even when it comes to having these really big events or goals that we have for the year, how do we get that commitment and how do we get the accountability, right? Making sure that there are clear guidelines and that there's buy-in from the entire board or from the committee that's hosting the event before we move forward and we put all this time and resource towards it. But also really making sure it's clear so that whoever is in charge of such goal or event, there is that accountability towards it. And then making sure sure that at the end of the day, whatever it is that your chapter or district, whatever the mission is for that year, really keeping that mission clear so that way you can always remember, okay, this is the main goal that we're trying to accomplish this year. Does this event address that? And if it does, we keep going. It just allows you to have that laser focus towards what is going to benefit the chapter or the district at large. So we'll kind of move into some good foundational things that we can try to implement. And then another thing to remember too is that every chapter, every district is very different, right? Because we all have our own cultures. That's what makes it so beautiful. That's what makes NLC or annual sessions so exciting, when all these different districts and chapters get to come together and you just get to see the uniqueness of each single one. So not everything that's shared with you guys tonight is going to apply, but maybe you can take something away, or maybe you can take an idea and kind of make it your own, something that will work for your team and for your members, right? So for the board in general, like I mentioned, onboarding and training, I think, is really valuable, and it is good to invest in it. It sets the tone really early on, and it provides leadership training so that everyone can be on the same page. Another thing you guys can also implement, right, is having that outgoing to incoming officer mentorship. Because I knew that when I had the amazing opportunity to serve as national president, guess what? Justino was my mentor. And I know Bile will be a great mentor to the next president that's incoming, right? That's how you continuously build a good foundation for your leaders and for the board to continue to have a really successful year ahead. So I really encourage all of you that when the time is right, to really implement that quality time opportunity, to really ensure that the board is on the same page. And then clarity of roles and goals, right? Write down the clear position description so everyone knows exactly what it is their mission is. Because me, as a wellness member, my first year in ASDA, if there was an advocacy event, sure, I would have loved to help. But ultimately, my focus was going to be on my wellness events, unless I was asked specifically that, okay, I'm going to be partnering with advocacy for this event and we're going to do a joint session, right? Keeping it really clear. Honestly, it can sound like, oh, we don't even need to worry about it. Of course, it should be pretty obvious, but having a document maybe in your Google Drive that you guys share, or Slack page, whatever kind of method that you use, where you can refer back to it and say, okay, this role, these are the expectations, can really help, right? And then having your goals written down as well. And then maybe even assigning, like, this goal is really specific to wellness, and this is the wellness team, or this goal is really specific to communications, and this is the communication team. And then going back to the shared tool area, right? Having one place where everything is located, where everything is housed, can really allow for your board to feel at ease that all the resources are in one place. That way we can continue to not worry necessarily about the nitty-gritty stuff and just kind of the paperwork of it all. So that way we can focus on having that really high engagement. So whether it's Google Drive or Trello or Slack, or I don't even know what that last one is. I was trying to find out some good shared tools, but clearly there's a lot of good opportunities to kind of have things housed in one place. So pick whatever it is that you guys like. I know at Tufts we personally used Google Drive. We loved it, and use that to really track your progress. And then so moving on to the accountability system, right? This is another great thing. Tufts had a really amazing tool where we would have an events list, and it would say, like, this is the event, this is the date, this is the committee in charge, this is the person on that committee that's leading the event. And that way, anyone on the board that was curious to be like, okay, what's happening next, or who's in charge of this event that's coming up, it was very clearly written out, and it was in a resource where you didn't necessarily have to go text the president of the chapter or of the district to be like, hey, what's going on? Because you can just go onto that document. Another really important thing is your check-ins, right? Because ultimately, at the end of the day, like I said, we're in dental school. Life is really, really busy, but there's a million events that we need to get done. But the team really does need that stopping point. So when you start off really strong at a board retreat, the same thing has happened to me on my district when I was trustee. Was halfway through the year, momentum is starting to slow down. Midterms or finals are starting to crush us. And this is a really good point to have a check-in with your team and find out, that, okay, let's keep this engagement going. What can we do to fuel the team? That way the chapter or the district can continue to thrive. And then accountability. Honestly, I feel like if you have those really good personal relationships, the accountability can come with it as well. But having that layer, that structure where in a particular committee, you know that there is someone that is ensuring that the rest of the team really is on the same page and doing what it is that they need to do. And then empowering your leaders, right? We all know, I mean, I don't know what you guys, but for me, it's really hard when you have that leadership ability. You tend to kind of be more of a type A person, and so you want to just micromanage and step in, but really allowing your board to thrive and to flourish and trusting them. And the best way to do it, honestly, is when that member or that person on your board has that passion project. I know at Tufts we had a really successful like stuffed bear event where we're donating it to a good cause, and the student that had the idea essentially spearheaded the event, and it went so successfully. And I remember from the time that I was a student to when I left, we had that event multiple times, and every time it was so well conducted. But I think it was truly because the person in charge was passionate about it. So you may really have a vision as the leader, whether you're vice president or president of your chapter or your district, and be like, this is what I really want to do. But ask the people that are leading your committees, like, what are you passionate about? Because I promise you, if they love it, you won't have to micromanage them. And then just having that opportunity in your meetings to pass the mic and have someone else lead a section of it, not have that one person continuously leading it every single month, really will allow to develop that leadership confidence that you want in your entire board. Because ultimately, like I said, they're the ones that are creating that hype, that anticipation, because the conversations of, hey, let's come to that ASDA event, or you coming tonight to that social that ASDA is hosting, it's really not happening just like on your Instagram post. It's happening in the hallways. It's happening in between class. It's happening during lunch break or over coffee. So your board is out there. They're talking to people. They have their own set of friends. So if you can build that leadership confidence in your leadership meetings, it will start to flourish in your events as well. And then, of course, we love recognition, right? Like we're in a world of positive affirmations, of social media. Use it to your advantage, showcase your board members, and give them a shout out in whatever form it may be, whether it be during your monthly team meetings or whether it be on your socials for your chapter or your district. It really is a great way to have that person really feel seen. And it really goes a long way. And it's such an easy and simple thing to do. And then lastly, of course, is succession planning, right? Identify those future leaders really early on, and keep that leadership pipeline going, because that's truly how you keep the momentum going. I think whenever I have the opportunity to go to NLC or annual session and I get to see the awards that we're sharing, or we're recognizing those leaders that really truly have made a difference, their story is always, oh, this person before me really inspired me, and that's like why I'm here today. Or maybe the chapter before us or last year's chapter really, worked super hard on Gold Crown, and like that's why we're able to do so well this year, because we learned a lot from them. It really is about creating that pipeline and creating that momentum. So take that time to kind of evaluate, are we spending time to find next year's leaders, or do we have a system in place? Because I think you'll really notice a difference in the long run for the growth and success of the engagement for the chapter and the district as well. So now we'll kind of move on from the board to essentially your members, right? Like that is like the heartbeat of the chapter and the district. The board can work super, super hard, but why are we working so hard? Because we want the members to benefit from it. And I will say, like, how cool, like Bile just mentioned, like 10, 15 different amazing initiatives that Nationals already has in place that we can take advantage of. Take inspiration from that. I think that's like your first place to start, is to see what Nationals is up to, because you can really translate it well into the district or chapter level. And if you are struggling, and this is just like the first stepping stone, you've already made such a great decision coming here tonight and just getting just small pearls here and there of how you can implement. But there's so many resources and opportunities to talk to national leaders and get advice from them throughout the year. So I highly encourage you guys to take advantage of that, because I feel like so much has changed and gotten better in ASDA ever since I've even left, so learning from your current leaders is really truly the best thing you can do, because that's what I did when I was kind of growing in ASDA. So we'll kind of move on to the basics, and then again we'll go back into the tangibles of what you can do to really allow for that engagement to flourish. So communication, that is the cornerstone, right, of engagement. How do we get people to come to things if they don't know what's going on, right? We need to communicate really effectively. So meet them where they are. It's really simple. We're very lucky that social media has taken off the way that it is, and we don't have to really print signs and flyers and posters. It's as quick as making a post. And you guys are all, I'm sure, so find your creative person on your team and really get fun with it. These TikTok reels or Instagram posts, they're so fun. There's so many ways to seek inspiration from what's happening online. So really use that to your advantage, whether it's your personal or your chapter Instagram or your district Instagram or your school email, if you're allowed to kind of send out a school blast, or even in your class group me groups, if that's still a thing. It was when I was in dental school. But it really is about sending out that information, right? There's a reason why Bile is on here today to kind of share all of that, because even though there's been email blasts sent out and there's social media posts going out, she's still taking that initiative to share it again. So every opportunity, every avenue that you get, share the information, because you will attract different groups of people, different memberships, because some people have GroupMe on mute, but they're on Instagram all day long. So you just never know, right? So it's better to tap into every avenue that you can to make sure that every member knows what's going on. And then the next thing is removing the friction. Like I said, we're dental students. We have exams and we have practicals and we have lives outside of dental school. So the easier we make it for that engagement to happen, the better. If we make it a really complicated sign up process, people are just not going to want to come. The second I would open up a sign up for an event and it was like name, email, age, all this random information, I'd be like, forget it. So really trying to uncomplicated, I think really is to your benefit. So take a look at with your sign up information, because be like, do I really need all this information, or can I just get the basics? Another thing you can do is use your class reps or the event ambassadors, the people that are running the event, to your advantage. A thing that we used at Tufts that really helped was we had someone from each year, D1 through D4, share their exam calendar or their practical calendar. So we knew not to host event before, the big anatomy exam. That really was awesome. And we had that in our Google Drive. So anyone that wanted to plan an event, we knew, okay, let's not do it around, the D1's exam or the D2's practical or the D4's CDCA. And then another thing you can do is really stack events, because if you really want to benefit on the members that are showing up, I think having a combo event is amazing. Doing advocacy and wellness, like joint event, I think it's brilliant. So kind of combining it, that way your members can get all this information all at once while they're there, will really help you. And then also I think it's a good opportunity because they get exposed thinking, okay, I'm really passionate about wellness, but they get a burst of advocacy somewhere, or they get a burst of communications or whatever kind of chapter teams that you have. Then that way I'm actually interested in this as well. So why don't I go ahead and go to the advocacy event next time? So you kind of have to think of it as like a funnel, and the easier you make it, the better the engagement will be, the more people will show up. And then the same thing goes for your board, is for your members, is recognition. Like how cool for the people that attended all 3 of these sessions, they're going to get recognized on a bigger stage, on a bigger platform. And I think that is great. I mean, I'm sure that's also a big reason why you guys are here today, because you really want to make sure you take it back to your chapter. But also now you get the really cool moment to share when you're going to annual session and your chapter is there to support you in front of the whole of ASDA. You'll be recognized for the hard work that you've put in. So just like how I think we'll appreciate that, right? We want our members to feel the same way, that yes, they're part of this really big chapter, this really big ASDA, but they've been noticed. They've been noticed for what they're doing. So having a shout out or having some type of cultural appreciation is a great idea. And we'll get into some of the tangibles of that in a couple of slides. So I wanted to share just some personal things that I remember doing when I was on the chapter and the district level that I think really allowed for really high engagement. I know I went to a school where we had a really large school, which meant we had lots of clubs, lots of opportunities, and students were constantly bombarded with lunch and learns or fun events. And you really had to be thoughtful and unique in what event it is that you wanted to host for your members to get that high engagement, because honestly, after a while, like pizza lunch and learns, like they got old and no one was interested in them anymore. So we'll kind of now like dive into just things that we did and I found it to be really, really beneficial. So one of them was just being pulse checks and feedback loops. So I know that if I had sent out like an email after the event was well and done, I was not going to get that many responses. But if I had QR codes at the event right then and there, and I would go up to people and chat with them and be so excited that they're there and be like, hey, can you scan this really quickly and respond? I will say, yeah, 50% of the time they'll click it and maybe nothing happens. But I saw way more success when I was getting their reaction or their experience right away rather than waiting to send out an email after the event. So I think that feedback really is important. And you can even do it as just like polls on Instagram. Like it's such an easy click that I participate in polls on my friends' stories like all the time. Like I'm sure they'd love to do it for ASDA as well. But really getting like a pulse on what it is that your membership is interested in, because it is changing. I feel like the D1s are not always interested in the same things. We do have certain topics that every class is going to lean towards, right? But I think the culture of every class really is different as well. So being able to tap into that and find out, okay, what worked, what didn't work, or maybe we did this event and it was okay, but there's some feedback to do it better. This is a really easy way to do it. Just a QR code or an Instagram story just to get that data. And then you guys can discuss it in your board meetings the following month. But then, like I mentioned, there are really specific things that specific classes they just love because D1s are new. They want to make friends. They have that initial excitement. They're not completely burnt out just yet. So they're going to go to all the icebreakers and the socials and they need advice on, okay, like I know as a D1, I was already thinking about CDCA, and that was like so, so far away. But any event that gave me information on like research or shadowing or residency applications, like you best believe I was there. So know that and take advantage of the fact that the D1s are really interested in and have those like events on hand. Same thing goes for D2s, excuse me, but it's a busy time. I think at my school, D2 was the most stressful year. I think that might be true for most of the schools that are on here right now. So, how do we offer them some relief? How do we offer them some resources? ASDA really should be that safe haven to be like, okay, if you're studying, let's have a group study session at the school or partner with the coffee shop or partner with the local student engagement office and see if there's any support that can be offered, and the D2s can really be catered towards that. And then the same thing goes for D3s. At this point, we're kind of done with the didactics, we're entering clinic. So having some clinic resources or opportunities to have one-on-ones with some D4s so that they can really benefit and be a little bit ready when they're hitting hard in clinic. Networking because you're starting to think about graduating or applying to residency, and then moving on to D4 where it's time to apply for jobs, it's time to apply for these programs or you're interviewing. Having those events really catered towards those specific years, you will see high engagement because you're immediately thinking, okay, this is really relevant to me and it's affecting me right now. Like a big hot topic right now affecting all of us is student loans. And that's something that National ASDA is focusing on. I think it's an amazing thing for the chapter or the district level to focus on. I think we should all be having events on this. And you're going to have high engagement because it is a really important topic that's being discussed right now. And then so another thing that worked was we had a ASDA Google Calendar, and it was great because as an event would get created, it would pop up onto my calendar and I didn't really have to think much about it. Whether I was going or not, it was at least something. I was on my phone, I was seeing it. And it's a great way for members to opt in and to see like what's happening next. So something that you guys can try to implement. And then another thing too is just some like pop-up events. It doesn't necessarily have to be the most advertised thing, but if you know that the students are always from 12 to 1 in between patients. They're in like our local cafe or wherever you think people are gathering. Have an ASDA stand right there ready to go. It would be a great surprise for your members, and then also a great opportunity to keep something more like low key and maybe less planning involved. And then we talked already about recognition, so I won't go into that too much. But if you want to make it class specific, then you can and have some healthy competition. But next, we can move on to some partnership and collaborations, right? So, because the school I went to was so large, it was nice to have the opportunity to bond with other clubs and really create events that both members can really take advantage of and benefit from. Same goes for your local dental societies. I promise you, they're excited to spend time with dental students, and they have resources and funds that they want to share with all of you. So if you want to execute an idea that maybe you don't have the resources for, that's a great place to go and to collaborate with them. And then that way, it's something new, it's something fresh, and that your members can engage with someone or another org, or maybe even a dental society that they didn't even realize was even out there. And then another fun thing was kind of a gamify engagement opportunity. Raffles were always a popular thing when I was in dental school because people always wanted, free things. Like, who doesn't love free stuff? I still do. So I thought the idea of like a punch card system would be really fun and a great way to, again, get that engagement up, because people love a good, healthy competition, or like they love the thrill of like getting like a checklist done, right? So having that really could allow for like 5 successful events to take place, and then you can give away a really good prize. And then the last idea was, of course, just showing the impact of the work that we're doing. It is awesome that we're taking care of our members, but showing that the ASDA difference, the impact of ASDA is so much larger than the members itself, but it's to the community at large, right? We have so many amazing events that don't just benefit our members, but the people that surround the schools that we're in, and showcasing that on your social medias and really empowering others to join next time because the impact was so large. At the end of the day, we all went into healthcare for a reason, right? We love caring for people. We want to help people and make their lives better. And so that is already in us. So getting those events where it benefits the community and showcasing that will automatically increase engagement because it's innate to us at this point. It's what we're passionate about. So I hope some of these were beneficial to you guys. And of course, you can kind of take something that I've said and twist it and make it into something that will match your chapter or your district culture a little bit better. But the ideas truly are endless. And that's kind of where I wanted to end, was that National ASDA does such a great job of showcasing the amazing work that chapters have done. And I think opportunities like NLC and annual session are so great because you get to network and collaborate with other dental students and kind of borrow ideas from them. So if like one chapter is having like a membership or a mentorship type of program, then you can kind of adapt it, or whatever it may be. But the best way really is to get good engagement is to continue to talk to other people that are also in leadership and say like, hey, what worked for you guys? And try to implement it. It doesn't have to be the most innovative, crazy, expensive, elaborate event to have high engagement. It really can be just the simple stuff and just consistency that really works to build that culture. So think about that when you're planning your events, because I think that's what matters most. Is like, does it stick and match your culture? And if it does, go for it, because you'll probably see really, really high engagement. So, with that, I would say that my challenge to all of you that are online today is pick that one dysfunction. Whatever you feel like is a challenge right now in your board, pick it and find a way to improve on that. Start with your board, really strengthen that engagement within your board, and then you'll see it really translate into your members, into the events that you're hosting. But I'm happy to open up the floor to any type of questions anyone has, or if anyone would like to share a dysfunction and would like any advice, I can try my very best to offer you my perspective. Or if someone wants to share something that they've left inspired with and what they're going to do to improve membership engagement, please feel free to unmute and share. Or if you want to throw it in the chat, then either myself or Kylie will read it out loud. Let me try to see if I can see the chat.
Yeah, I have a question.
Go for it.
So, what are some activities that you do that you've done to help encourage board members to open up and, be more transparent with each other?
So, I think this is where it really is unique to kind of the vibe of your board. But I know my year when I was trustee and I really wanted the board to bond because we were from 5 different schools. We kind of went into like the middle of nowhere and just played a game over like the fire. And I think just like being up a little bit later than usual, everyone was tired and had loosened up, and just being outside in like a warm, comfy environment really allowed for people to open up. I think it has to be natural. If you force it, it won't happen. If you kind of make a really outlined way of people to bond, it won't make it work, right? So the best thing you can really do for your board is to allow them to spend as much organic time as you possibly can. And I think so we're in September right now, so school started a couple months ago, but I think this is still like an early season. I think ASDA fever was probably last month, so it's still really early for your board to spend that quality time together. But this is where you could also, like, I had done like a Google form for the board to fill out and be like, okay, do you guys want to do something more naturey? Are we wanting to do something more like adventurous? Do we want to stay local? Do we want to go somewhere far? And getting feedback from the team. That way, you know what it is that they would have fun with. And I just happened to have a really nature friendly board. So we decided to go into the nature and spend some quality time together.
Thank you.
Of course. Okay. I don't think there's any other questions, but if there is, feel free to unmute or throw it in the group. But while you guys are marinating, I just wanted to say that NLC is coming up, which is super exciting. And I've mentioned a couple of times in this presentation, I think it is one of like the best opportunities to network with people. There's also such amazing content that's going to be shared with all of you that will, I'm sure, touch on engagement. So it really is a great place for you and your leaders to go. But thank you all so much for your time. I really hope that you took even just one thing away from this presentation and that you're able to implement it and see some higher engagement. But yeah, thank you all so much. I really, really appreciate it.
Thank you. Thanks so much, Shafa. Thanks for everyone for being here and participating in this program tonight. Again, thanks, Shafa, for delivering such a great presentation on engagement. I hope you are all thinking of ways to include these tactics in your day-to-day chapter business. The stories that Shafa's sharing tonight and your stories of all the leaders that are here on this call are what makes your chapter strong. Engagement and member participation is just so important. And we, of course, also would love to know what's going on at your chapters, what's working. We're really here to support you through what you're doing, events like tonight and one-on-one connections. So I have to leave you with our Calendly link in the chat in case you all want to schedule some one-on-one time with us. We would be happy to connect with you. You can use that link to schedule some time on our calendars. But as we've all been saying, your roles are essential to ASDA's success. We, of course, could not do it without all of you here on the call tonight. So again, we just appreciate you taking the time to be with us tonight and participating. Again, this session was recorded and we'll be emailing it out to all the participants. And as Shafa said, NLC is coming up. I'm sure many of you are planning to go and we will look forward to seeing you there. So again, thanks again for your time and attention, and we look forward to continuing our work together this year. Thanks, everyone, and have a wonderful evening. Thanks again, Shafa. Have a great night, everyone.